I don't know. You want to just jump right into it? Sean Strickland going off in the wonderful land of Canada, so he's probably like 30 minutes away from me, probably 2 hours in traffic. But he is, you know, he got a question he didn't really like from a Canadian reporter. It's pretty typical. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, as a Canadian, it's pretty typical of the sports media to immediately ask somebody about like LGBT stuff. And in
Dude, I'm pumped because I heard some of it, but I didn't even listen to all of it yet, so I'm kind of excited. Let's go.
Yeah. Sean, we were talking before about how you have so much respect from your teammates, from peers. You said you've had great interaction with fans pretty much all the time. I did want to ask, you're in Toronto. Welcome. Glad to hear it. It's been great.
Are you Canadian?
Of course I am.
Are you part of the fucking opposition? Are you?
I don't know how to phrase that.
You got like fucking. Yeah.
Well, I did want to ask.
Did you vote for Trudeau?
I'm not going to say.
And let me tell you something right now. If a man says he's not going to say, like, if you ask a motherfucker, did you vote for Biden? He's like, well, I'm not going to say. That's none of your business. He voted for fucking Biden. Hey,
Sean, I'm glad you've had great experiences.
So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. The enemy of Canada.
Sure.
All right.
That's what it's got to be. It's got to be. We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said, if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and someone says...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance to interact with a more diverse
Are you? Let me know. Are you gay?
Can I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking. This is a part of. Are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. You're part of the fucking problem. You elected Justin Trudeau, like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just fucking pathetic, and the fact that you have no fucking backbone. And has he shut down your fucking country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that, go fuck yourself. Move the fuck on, man.
That doesn't really answer the question.
Let's pause it there for a second.
Bro.
That's very, like, I don't know who this guy was from, which outlet. It's pretty obvious when a UFC reporter or an MMA reporter comes out and says something like that, because it's kind of out of the norm. But it's very typical. If he's like a Toronto sports reporter, it's very typical for them to jump on something like that and feel like it's a good job. If that was like when stuff was happening with the NHL and pride flags and trans promotion and everything, the Canadian sports media jumps on that. It's like, how hateful. There was a Toronto Maple Leafs backup goalie who wasn't even playing that night, and he didn't wear a pride decal on the back of his goalie helmet, and they went after him, and they just blame it on it being Russia. But Toronto sports media, I don't know if you're familiar, but this is their bread and butter. Like, they're going to go for that right away and be like, why wouldn't I ask him about this? We're all allies here. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The funniest thing is, like, all right, if Sean Strickland came, fought, and left, most gay people would have no idea. Like, he'd do zero damage at all. No one would even know he was there unless you were an MMA fan, in which you already know who he is and you can either like him or not like him. So, like, this idea that they're doing something heroic by, like, you said something 3 years ago and we have a community here that thinks this way. It's like, okay. Like, and then what he said about the kids too, like, the Bible says, like, marriage, man and woman. And I understand why people were like, hey, I want everybody to do what they want to do. But now that I think about it and I get older and wiser, it's like a man and a woman come together and they create a child. So what Sean was saying, just biologically, it's like, if your son was gay, you're not going to have grandkids. You don't want grandkids? It's a valid question, because I think most, parents want grandkids eventually. Some maybe don't, but I would say almost everyone does. So then you almost have to pretend like you don't. Like, even if you didn't mind if your kid was gay, like, you'd be like, I kind of wanted grandkids, or, but then I guess you could just adopt it or something. But it was just funny how the guy's like, I'd be totally fine. I don't care. And it's like, all right, maybe that's true, but it's hard to, like, tell when they're just yes men.
I'm not sure if he was hoping to come in here and be super heroic in his reporting, but it did not stop here. Strickland kept going for a bit while longer.
But I did want to ask also things you said about the trans community. You said this past October, when they announced the Bud Light sponsorship, that you'd go so hard on Bud Light in your next fight, they'll have to accept me or denounce me when they know will know what they stand for. Are you?
This guy's like, nah, this Canadian's not that Canadian.
Are you still going to use your fight time to kind of speak on that?
Here's the thing about Bud Light. 10 years ago, to be trans was a mental fucking illness. And now all of a sudden, people like you have fucking weaseled your way into the world. You are an infection. You are the definition of weakness. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of fucking you. And the best thing is the world's not buying it. The world's not buying your fucking bullshit you're fucking peddling. The world is not saying, you know what? You're right. Fucking chicks have dicks. The world's not saying that. The world's saying, no, there are two genders. I don't want my kids being taught about, who they could fuck in school. I don't want my kids being taught about, their sexual preference. Like, dude, this guy is the fucking enemy. You want to look at the fucking enemy to our world? It's that motherfucker right there asking these stupid fucking questions.
You can hear the headlines being written in real time. Sean Strickland says transgender people are the enemy. That's what I think is going to be up in the morning. And it's like, this guy can write about something like this, but who's actually going to care? That's the thing that I want to know. Who is watching UFC that is going to care what Sean Strickland has to say about transgenderism, for example? So they could come out with this headline tomorrow, but the only people who are going to care are other progressive MMA journalists. And they're definitely out there. I'm sure you've seen them too. The same ones that, ask about people saying the dreaded F word in Australia a few months ago. So I'm sure it'll happen, and it might be pushed by the Canadian media, but ultimately I think this guy's just spinning his wheels here for his own. I stood up, Anomaly. I asked the tough questions about LGBT allyism.
Yeah, like 3 people in a Toronto gay bar are gonna care, and like the rest of the gay community is gonna be like, dude, whatever. It doesn't even matter. But I thought it was funny because he was blaming like everything in the world on that journalist. That's what I took away from it. He wasn't even saying like it's all trans people. That he's like, it's literally just you. He's like, you are all of the world's problems. Everybody, look at this journalist. It's all his fault. Dude, he was probably so scared or so excited. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm being persecuted. Like, I'm an ally. Or he was like, damn, this took a turn.
Well, Sean does go on to say that he doesn't have a problem with, quote, the gays, and then says all the other Canadians he met or he has met are fine. But he's sort of starting to figure out, now that he's in this position, that people like this exist, and that's why Trudeau got elected. It's pretty interesting. I'm just like so jaded by it because the Toronto sports media has always been so bad, and they're used to getting away with jumping down people's throats for everything, and nobody ever holds them account to it. Toronto sports is kind of this market where you come in, you can be really popular really quickly, but if you do anything that if you don't give the media access to everything that's inside your brain, then they're gonna hate you for it because they're so used to everybody, kissing their ass when they come here. It's the only big city in Canada with all the major sports teams. And it's been done countless times with basketball and with hockey where a big athlete comes in there and they expect something from him. They expect certain access from him and certain information, and he doesn't want to provide it. Then they just hammer that guy and hound him every single chance they get. And it's a real problem. And especially in MMA media, it's weird when a guy like this comes into the room and starts demanding these types of answers from people.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean Strickland, people really like him in America, but we probably have a few more dissidents, but people love him here too, and I see it going viral. But for people in Toronto, I bet people are very afraid to do what he did, and almost no one does that. So for him to just do it, when you said that they want people to come in and know everything that's inside their mind, it reminded me of this Ryan Long skit where it was like a left versus right basketball game. And the guy, it was like, come over here, but like the left wing was acting crazy. And like he goes to the one guy, he's like, do you agree with all of my platforms? And the guy's like, I don't know all of your platforms. And then he's like, we want to hang landlords. And the guy's like, I am a landlord. So it's just like funny approaching him. It's like, do you agree with all 95 of my policies? And you're like, I think I agree with like 90 of them. And they're like, racist, it's like, that seems like the vibe of they want everyone to just do exactly what they say. But that's why Sean Strickland is so unique. He's funny, he's edgy, but he just seems like kind of like a white guy that's like, he drives a motorcycle, he literally, he's just like, this is what I think, I don't give a shit. And that's refreshing.
Yeah, and I wanted to point to this ad he recently did with this new UFC reporter. He basically just promos his merch here while bleeding from his ear and shoots like snot rockets.
I'm running my own merch line. We're doing big things, dude. We're doing gun giveaways, gloves giveaways.
Yep.
I cut the fucking price in half. I ain't making no money off this motherfucker,
Nothing.
but we're fucking doing it.
He's actually spending money
I'm
making
sick, I'm
it.
blowing
You see his
Yeah.
ear bleeding right there?
Yeah.
snot everywhere, guys. It's just all fucked up, you guys. But we're doing good things with it. We're cutting the price in half. It's all good.
So yeah, he's got these shirts like freedom or death, one woman in the kitchen versus to one man or something.
Right.
I hope he doesn't lose against Dricus du Plessis. I mean, last week I was talking about, have you seen him kissing his trainer and everything?
It's a little weird. I like Dricus, but, dude, it's South African. You go past a certain part of the world. Like I don't know if it would
And
be
you're
called
just kissing grandfathers.
I'm not making excuses for it, but like it's like once you get over to Europe, it starts getting a little weird, and then the further that way you go, it just gets weird. I like Dricus. I think he's like a respectable guy, but I've seen those pictures too, and it is cringe. Like they were like hugging over like the Eiffel Tower, and it's like cringe. Very very cringe for sure.
South African accent's a very one to pin down. It's almost Australian, but it's something else.
I was gonna
this-
say, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna go to the CJ Stroud clip. Did you have something else on that one?
Yeah, I want to say with Strickland, for those who don't know, like he's the type of fighter because a lot of guys are divas, and I think if you get in that cage, you're not a diva. Let me put it this way: most guys care about themselves and their health, and they try to like strategically do things which is good for their body, which is totally understandable. They could all beat me up. With that being said, Sean Strickland doesn't care. He rides a motorcycle. He like gets in road rage fights and says, "Come to the gym and I'll fight you at my gym." He literally invites people to fight him. He sparred random people at like press conferences before a fight. He takes fights on like 2 weeks notice, week notice. Like he's the guy that's ready to fight wherever, whenever, and he's really really about it. So it's like no one ever thought he would be a champion. It was the biggest upset of last year. I like Dricus. I like Sean. I think Dricus is going to beat him, but I mean, Sean could beat anybody. And they say that they have technology at the UFC. They say that Sean Strickland spars the most, but gets hit the least. Like that's how good at defense he is. So it's going to be a good fight. These are two very respectable fighters, two of the world MMA's best Caucasians. You know what I'm saying? You got a white South African and Sean Strickland, white trash representing America. It's going to be some white on white violence. They say that it doesn't exist. A lot of those right wingers say, oh, it's only black and, other ethnicities. No, we're going to see some real heavy white on white violence. And I'm just letting you guys know, I condemn the bigotry going on in all directions there. So